was found innocent, but Jackson's reputation and career have been seriously impacted, possibly forever. My name is Larry Nemmer. I'm the guy on the left having lunch in Michael Jackson's kitchen. I was part of the Jackson defense team in my capacity as a documentary filmmaker and legal video specialist. I spent many days videotaping inside Michael Jackson's Neverland estate, and I spent 2 days on the witness stand, presenting and narrating my original video footage for the jury, footage that will be seen outside the courtroom for the first time in this documentary. I was hired by Michael Jackson's legal defense team. When I took the job, I was uncertain about the truth of Jackson's guilt or innocence. What I experienced working on the case opened my eyes not only to the dangers of celebrity, but also to a dangerous side of the American justice system and the media. In this documentary, I'll share what I learned about Michael Jackson during my time at Neverland and during his trial. By the end, you'll know what I came to believe about Jackson's guilt or innocence. And hopefully, this documentary will help you make up your mind as well. Like most people, I'd heard a lot about Neverland Ranch, and I was curious to get an intimate look at the mythical home and playland. As I shot the various nooks and crannies on the property, I wondered if Jackson You'll see an army of sheriffs raiding Jackson's personal living quarters in Neverland Ranch. You'll meet the mother of the accuser.
Where were they when I had to walk about 3 hours to get the doctors for my children, and now all of a sudden they're caring and concerned because Michael Jackson.
You'll view outtakes from the Mark Bashir documentary. You'll see an exclusive interview with Jackson attorney Tom Messer.
This was not the kind of situation that Michael Jackson belongs in. He's extremely sensitive, very gentle, very childlike.
And you'll meet jury foreman Paul Rodriguez.
We felt that Michael was still a kid in a man's body.
Michael's defense team hired me to create a Neverland tour video to counter the unsavory impression created by footage shot by the Santa Barbara County Sheriffs, who deployed over 70 officers for a surprise raid at Neverland Ranch.
You're on the job until we secure this house.
The jurors saw footage like this scene where sheriffs would round a corner ready to draw their guns. I guess on a potential child molester, or maybe they were expecting to find a cowering Michael Jackson.
Sheriff Department.
I've never seen a case where 70 plus sheriffs show up to raid someone's home like this. I think they wanted to create the impression that Michael Jackson was a dangerous person. And everybody wanted to be part of the Michael Jackson investigation and ultimately the Michael Jackson case. They wanted to create the biggest case in the history of the world, and everybody was just mesmerized by being part of this unusual event, and it was very, very disturbing.
My footage was also intended to offset the insinuations made in the documentary by Mark Bashir. The Bashir footage included this famous scene of Michael holding hands with his future accuser, Gavin Arvizo.
Is that really appropriate for a grown man to be doing? How do you respond to that? That's right.
Bashir tape, we felt that he was leading Michael into the situation of admitting that there was some problem, that something went wrong, that he did bother some kids. They did sleep in his room, and there was more going on than just sleeping in his room. And we felt that he just literally led him in that direction.
When I got the job, I knew about as much as most people about the career of Jackson. I knew that Jackson had been a big star from an early age, but he missed out on a normal childhood because of his early stardom and the strict and abusive control of his father, Joe Jackson.
Want to have fun or know what it's like to have a buddy or a slumber party or birthday.
I knew that after performing with his brothers in the Jackson 5, he went on to a huge career as a solo artist, and that his album Thriller was one of the most successful albums of all time. I knew of his landmark work in making music videos like Beat It, his humanitarian work like We Are the World, and his incredible dance moves. Even my own home movies feature a performance of my son trying to mimic some of Michael's dance steps. I also knew of his excessive cosmetic procedures and the often reported stories of odd behavior, like when he dangled his baby from a hotel balcony in Germany. When the Bashir documentary, Living with Michael Jackson, came out in 2003, there was a big media and tabloid blitz about his relationship with 13-year-old Gavin Arvizo and about Michael's unorthodox thoughts about sleeping arrangements.
Why can't you share your bed? The most loving thing to do is to share your bed with someone. You know?
You really think that?
Yeah, of course.
You're taking the position that you use every single night that you go into. You sleep, and you're sharing it with another.
You say you can have my bed if you want. Sleep in it.
My first meeting at Neverland was with Bob Sanger, one of Jackson's longtime attorneys. He told me about the accusations made by Gavin Arvizo and his family. He said that Gavin and his brother claimed that Michael had molested Gavin, and that additionally, the whole family maintained that they'd been held hostage at Neverland and not allowed to know the time. Gavin Arvizo also claimed that Michael forced him to drink alcohol to help with the molestation. Sanger and the Neverland staff gave me a tour of the estate. Sanger explained that my main assignment would be to make a video tour of Neverland, showing what a visitor sees during a typical visit. My video would be introduced at trial only if the judge would not allow the jurors to make their own visit. Eventually, the judge ruled that the jury could not go to Neverland, and so I became a sworn witness narrating my footage at trial. After my initial visit, I returned to Neverland Ranch a half-dozen times with my equipment and assistants to document the place. Roaming around Neverland as I pleased with the staff at my command, I felt like a kid in a candy store, sometimes literally. The only place that was off limits was Michael's dance and recording studio that was seen in the Bashir documentary, and his personal office that was seen in the sheriff's raid footage.
This is Michael's? Okay.
I'm not sure why I wasn't allowed access to those places. Perhaps they weren't straightened up like the rest of the property.
This is the boys' room.
I also wasn't allowed to visit the bedrooms of Michael's kids, Paris, Prince, and Blanket. The officers also searched these rooms. But I did see signs of Michael's kids throughout the property, including this touching note from Paris to her father, Michael Jackson, expressing her love and best wishes to her daddy, whose health declined from the stress of the trial. Otherwise, nothing else was off limits on the 27th.
Michael Jackson think this was going to be a positive documentary, and Michael trusted him partly because he had worked with Princess Diana, whom Michael revered because of her work with children, with animals, her effort to not just sit back and enjoy royalty, but to go around the world and try and achieve something good for humanity. And the fact that Bashir had done a biography of her and had apparently gotten her trust to do that biography severely influenced Michael Jackson, but it was the biggest mistake he ever made. And he did not expect Mr. Bashir to come out with the product that he came out with. And my opinion, watching it, was that Mr. Bashir was very cleverly and very maliciously manipulating him down a path of destruction.
It's about bringing out what you're about. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I know you don't want to be accused of being, you know, but man, when people hear that story, they haven't got a clue. The story of your life.
Little did Michael know that his words would be prophetic when he complained to Bashir during a go-kart race.
Hey, he's cheating! He's cheating!
Michael didn't learn till after the documentary was made that Martin Bashir had been officially reprimanded in Britain for unfair journalistic practices. The defense argued that Bashir's documentary emphasized the bizarre and freakish side of Michael.
Would you like to be buried in something like this?
No.
It's well known that sensational celebrity stories sell. And the more sensational they are, the more money they make in the media marketplace.
The bigger the star, the bigger the target. And the more popular I became, the more rumors that were created, which none of which were true. I mean, the moment I started breaking the all-time records of the biggest selling albums of all time, they called me weird overnight, strange, wacko, you know, they said I'm a girl, homosexual, he wants to buy the Elephant Man bones, he sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber. None of that stuff is true. They just really just go too far. They simply go too far.
Does it hurt?
Does it hurt? I'm human. I am human.
They say he's homosexual.
In the Bashir outtakes, filmed by Michael's private videographer, Michael told this story.
One little boy seemed to slip through the crowd, and he walked up to me and he said, "Michael Jackson, is it true that you take female hormone pills to make your voice higher?" And he was no more than 11. I said, "No, where did you get that from?" He said, "My friends talked about it." I go, "I'm a tenor. I'm a natural tenor. My grandfather's a tenor. My oldest brother's a tenor. And most successful singers are tenors." I said, "I do not take female hormone pills. I've never seen one. I wouldn't know what it looks like."
We're getting crazier and crazier when it comes to coverage of celebrities. You know, one of these young actresses gets stopped for drunk driving, and it's on the cable stations for the next couple of months. There are far more important things going on in our criminal justice system than this. But that's where the media feels that it'll get its ratings, and that's where it feels that its profits will come from.
Back to Jackson's accusers, the Arvizo family.
He should shout out to his friends on the west side.
In 2001, the kids were in a Laugh Factory comedy camp for the underprivileged when Gavin got stage 4 cancer and it appeared to be terminal. Gavin made a dying wish to meet Michael Jackson, and through entertainment industry channels, Michael was contacted. Jackson regularly opened his home up to sick kids like Gavin and responded by arranging to bring Gavin and his family to Neverland. Jackson often said that he created Neverland Ranch, modeled after Peter Pan's Never Neverland, as a place where underprivileged and ailing kids could escape their everyday problems, just like they might at Disneyland. Michael had great concern for Gavin and hoped that he would help him overcome his cancer through positive thinking and experiences.
I remember one time he taught me how to drive in the little carts, and so we were driving up the hill. And he told me that I need to get better, and I was like, I will. He told me, listen, I need you to get better. You are going to get better. Mm-hmm. He told me, I need you to eat up all the little cancer cells just like Pac-Man. Go around eating like Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. And I never forgot that.
Not sick at all. No more cancer. All gone. All gone.
He's taller than me now.
when they told him he was going to die. Isn't that great?
They told my parents to plan for his funeral because there was no chance.
They told your parents to plan for his
funeral.
To cancer, he lost his left kidney, his left adrenal, his spleen. They extracted multiple lymph nodes, a 16-pound tumor, and it went to stage 4 terminal cancer in both his lungs. And when I would tell him, the doctors are saying there's no chance, Michael said, I will not have that. You bring him to me, and we will coat him with love. And not only did he extend love to him, but to Star, Davelin, and me. A complete.
After repeated stays at Neverland, even while Michael was out of town, they began to exhibit an attitude of entitlement with Michael's staff and resources. Witnesses at the trial reported that they thought the family started conspiring to take advantage of Michael and his generosity. At first glance, the Arvizos seemed like well-intentioned, kind, fun people who had grown up in difficult circumstances in East LA and that they deserved the help they got. However, it came out at trial that the Arvizos were not as innocent as they first appeared. Trial testimony revealed that a couple years earlier, before his cancer diagnosis, Gavin was arrested for shoplifting at a J.C. Penney on an outing with his family. When a security guard confronted him in the parking lot, they got into an altercation, and Janet Arvizo was arrested. Some weeks later, Janet Arvizo sued J.C. Penney, claiming she was sexually molested by the J.C. Penney security guards. She said they twisted her nipple up to 25 times and beat her, and she offered these photos as proof. J.C. Penney settled out of court for $152,000.
During deliberations, some of the female jurors brought that up when we were talking about it. They said, now, as a female, if somebody pinched me on my breast, I don't think I'd remember that he pinched me 25 times, maybe 30 times, maybe 6 times. What's the difference? You know, if somebody was doing this to you, you wouldn't remember that. Your thoughts would be maybe to get out of there, get away from there.
Well, there's no question that 2 young boys lied under oath to support their mother's claim that she'd been sexually abused by J.C. Penney guards. But there are many other things that we brought forward. She was arrested, brought to the police station. We obtained the booking information where she said she didn't have any need for medical attention, didn't have any injuries. We also obtained the booking photos where you didn't see a bruise on her body or a hair out of place. Obtained the booking photos where you didn't see a bruise on her body or a hair out of place. Subsequently, her lawyer filed a lawsuit against J.C. Penney and with photographs showing bruises all over her body.
Later, Janet and her kids admitted under oath that her ex-husband David regularly beat her and their children, and that they had lied earlier in the J.C. Penney deposition. Apparently, the Arvizos were practiced in using lawyers and their children's lies for financial gain before they met Michael Jackson. Janet Arvizo felt they deserved the special treatment they got at Neverland because of their disadvantaged background. Here's another clip from the rebuttal video, which was an aborted effort to support Michael.
Where were they when I couldn't feed my children, when I had to share a box of cereal? Where were they when my children and I would weep? Where were they when my children and I were lonely? Where were they when I didn't have enough money to pay for my bus fare, to get my son to the doctors? Where were they when I had to walk about 3 hours to get to the doctors for my children? And now, all of a sudden, they're caring and concerned because Michael Jackson is involved, the very same man who cares about me and my 3 kids, to make sure that their past is erased and that all they can count is a future full of happiness, joy, and safety. Where are those people when I needed him, when I needed them? And now Michael is there for us, there for all three of them.
Every time she would bring up something like that or snap her fingers, she would look at me or the female Hispanic juror that was on there, and then she would say, you know how our culture is. Well, I'm thinking, no, that's not how our culture is, you know, so you're way off base, sweetheart.
At the trial, the Arvizos claimed that they were forced to make this rebuttal video and to say complimentary things about Michael Jackson, and that it was all scripted for them. Many found this difficult to believe, especially after this segment was played.
Wait, you know how Bashir, you know how Bashir zoomed in on him holding hands? Do that the same thing.
Because you know.
Because that's what a mother does with a son, or a father does with a son, you know? And they try to make it out to be something wrong and dirty. Put your back straight.
The hand holding thing.
Okay.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, we're on camera?
Yeah.
Oh.
We are?
Yeah, I was just rolling.
Oh, God! This is the outtakes of the outtakes.
After viewing it several times, we felt this isn't scripted.
Well, you know, the jury saw that tape, I believe, 5 times. So they had ample ability to decide whether she looked like she was being coerced and whether everything she said was memorized or scripted. And I think the verdict speaks for itself.
Were the Arvizos skilled manipulators or honest everyday people? Here's one of the tapes where this question came up. This is the video where the sheriffs questioned Gavin about being molested by Michael Jackson.
You can just sit right there, buddy. And we are going to try our best to make a case, okay, a criminal case. We're going to try our best. But you need to understand that we're going to need your cooperation. And Gavin, can you tell us what your conversations, what you guys talked about?
Talk about, like, video games and people he knew and like famous people. We talked about Neverland and cartoons and Simpsons and stuff. He said that he has something that can relax me, and because he says that I know you're stressed out about all the stuff that's going on, so I have something that can relax you. He went to the room and he emptied out a Coke can, and I think it was Diet Coke, I don't know. But he got a bottle of wine and he put it in there, and then he took it to me and I asked him, well, he said drink it, and I said, what's that? And he said, it's drinking, so I drank it. I didn't like the taste, and I asked him, man, what is it? And he said, it's wine, it'll help you. Just keep drinking it. I kept on drinking it. And my head started hurting and stuff, and I felt.
Okay. It wasn't right, was it? No, especially with your condition.
Yeah.
When I saw this for the first time, I thought, if Gavin is lying, he's really doing a good job. But that was before I heard he and his siblings were studying acting and had lied in the earlier J.C. Penney's sexual molestation lawsuit.
Their personal wish, humongous wish, is to be in movies.
Apparently, the jury wasn't convinced by Gavin's performance in the sheriff's interview.
Actually, that tape became very important. Most of us felt the same way, that we were looking for his demeanor. How was his body? Was he, moving around a lot? Was he nervous? Was he anxious? And he didn't seem to come across that of someone that had been molested. He just looked like someone that was just having fun, like being at a video arcade or something. He didn't seem nervous at all. And we felt that the police were trying to get him to say things that they wanted him to say so they could have that recorded.
He said that boys have to masturbate, because if we don't, we go crazy. He told me a story about this one boy that he went and got a dog and he started having sex with the dog. He said that he wanted to show me how to masturbate.
He wanted to show you how to masturbate? Okay.
And I said no. And then he said he'd do it for me.
Okay. And did he do it for you? Go ahead, Kevin, it's fine.
He put his hand in my pants.
Did he put it on the outside?
Inside.
Inside? And what did he do next?
He started masturbating me.
Okay.
And after a while, I told him I didn't want to do that.
Did he stop?
I told him and he kept on doing it. I told him, he kept on saying that he wants to teach me, and I told him, no.
And what, did he finally stop?
Yeah, after like a long time.
Did you, do you know what ejaculation is? You know what that means?
I have an idea, but I don't really know.
Did any white stuff come out that you remember?
I don't know.
You want something to drink? You're doing a very good job. Let me get you something to drink, okay, buddy? Where are those drinks at?
Trial witnesses testified that they found Gavin and his brother masturbating to porno when Michael wasn't on the premises. Also, records show that earlier, Gavin said that his grandmother told him the story that if you don't masturbate, you go crazy. But with the sheriffs, he seemed to substitute Michael for the author of the story.
Michael Jackson has done wrong. Michael Jackson has done wrong to you and to your mother, and his friends that work for him or his employees have done wrong.
After you've been through hell.
Exactly. And for him to be giving you alcohol, also knowing your condition. Did Michael Jackson know your condition? And did he know that he wasn't supposed to give you alcohol? Okay.
Excellent job.
At the trial, it came out that the Arvizos were badgering a number of celebrities for money and attention.
Chris Tucker had interacted with this family on numerous occasions. He felt they took him for a ride. You know, I remember him telling me when I first met him that he was told this child had cancer. He wanted to help them out. He invited them to the set in Las Vegas of Rush Hour 1. He thought they would spend a day, and they ended up spending, I think it was 10 days or 2 weeks, and billing him for the entire amount. And he went to Michael Jackson in Florida and said, "Be careful, something's wrong."
Got a bad feeling about this. I think we should just beat it. Stop worrying and just follow me.
Now, Jay Leno was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department and secretly recorded by the sheriffs. He didn't know he was being recorded. And he told them words to the effect that this family had contacted him, that the 13-year-old accuser had tried repeatedly to get through to him, and that finally he had a conversation with him. He said that the 13-year-old sounded, overly rehearsed, sounded scripted. There seemed to be a woman in the background, directing what he said. And he got a bad feeling about what this young man was saying to him. And he thought they wanted money, although they didn't actually ask for it. And after that conversation, he told the staff not to let them put any calls through to him again, that he didn't have a good feeling about.
We thought, here's another one. They're trying to lure him in and suck him in like they did Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson's childlike innocence allowed the family the full use of Neverland, even when he was out of town, as he did with other families in need. They had access to all parts of the property and freely used the amusement park, the zoo, the arcade, and movie theater. They had access to all parts of the property and freely used the amusement park, the zoo, the arcade, and movie theater. The kids figured out the Neverland security codes and were admonished by the staff for breaking into Michael's wine cellar and consuming alcohol. Eventually, the Arvizos got too out of control, and Michael started to distance himself from them. By this point, they were charging thousands of dollars of luxuries on Michael's account. Jackson employees related at trial how the Arvizos also became rude to the staff and acted like they were entitled to Michael's wealth.
This family began to come up with these allegations of molestation and conspiracy only when they realized that they were on the way out, that Michael Jackson was sick of them, didn't want to deal with them anymore, didn't want them on his property.
It was at this point that the Arvizos consulted Larry Feldman, the same attorney that won the reported $20 million settlement from Michael Jackson to young Geordie Chandler in 1993. The Arvizos met with the attorney Larry Feldman, who earns a percentage of whatever his clients make. He sent them to the same psychologist he used for the Geordie Chandler case, and shortly thereafter, the psychologist and Feldman reported to the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office that Gavin Arvizo claimed Michael Jackson had molested him on multiple occasions. It just so happens that the Santa Barbara District Attorney, Thomas Snedden, had been hoping for years to find somebody to level child molestation charges against Michael Jackson. Here's Sneddon at the Neverland Sheriff's raid.
I'll just stay here. I just want to find out these here.
Messero was asked if he thought Sneddon had a vendetta against Jackson.
Do I personally think he had a vendetta against him? I absolutely do. Why else would you devote all that time and energy to trying to convict one person? And one thing you didn't mention was that there was a website at the Sheriff's Department looking for any information on Michael Jackson, along with the trips overseas, along with 3 grand juries, 2 in Santa Barbara, 1 in Los Angeles. And this went on for, year after year after year. And the best they came up with was this case, which was shot full of holes.
It probably didn't help matters much that Michael followed up the '93 confrontation with Sneddon by apparently criticizing him in this song.
What Sneddon was really up to, and I felt he was a very vindictive person.
Were the sheriffs looking for the truth, or as some said, were their investigations just one-sided?
He's the bad person, not you. Okay? Your mom, you, your brother, and your sister are good people. And you're helping by coming here and talking to us. I want to re-emphasize to you that you guys are doing the right thing and you're going to help a lot of people.
In a sense, the district attorney's office became the Arvizo's new enablers.
You watch that video and you realize this man has jumped to a conclusion without any investigation at all. That itself showed bias on the part of law enforcement. I think if you also looked at his demeanor, you didn't see someone who was nervous or shy or upset about what he claimed had happened to him. We also proved this young man had gone to acting school, had taken acting lessons, that he wanted to be an actor and a comedian and a celebrity. And there were so many things that were disturbing about that tape. I really thought when it went into the jury room it would help us, but I know the prosecution thought it was going to be a bombshell in their favor.
When the Arvizos believed they had some success with their stories, they became even more bold with their accusations. They claimed Michael Jackson held them captive at Neverland. However, during the time they were supposedly held captive, trial records show that Janet Arvizo took regular trips on Michael's tab to local beauty salons for full body waxes and other amenities.
What she should have probably done, let's call the police, and there's all these phones in the area. We could go have access to any phone we want and call somebody to come and get us, call the Sheriff's Department. But instead she goes to Solvang, gets her legs waxed, and the kids are running all over the place, wrecking the vehicles that they were borrowing, just to drive around in.
The Arvizos also had Michael's driver chauffeur them around in Michael's Rolls Royce as they went on shopping trips and traveled back and forth between their East LA home and Neverland. As these images show, Neverland is hardly an inescapable fortress. In fact, there are no secure fences around the large estate, only these split-rail fences that can be easily breached. A magazine photographer even caught this shot of Gavin hopping a fence during the trial. Still, Janet Arvizo claimed at the trial that they considered escaping from Neverland in a hot air balloon.
They wouldn't let us leave.
Were you scared when you were there?
Yeah.
What were you scared about?
That they might kill us.
The Arvizos claimed, along with the prosecution, that they were not only held prisoner, but they were also prevented from knowing the time. This too was hard to believe with the abundance of clocks on the premises that can be seen in this footage in my Neverland tour video. Finally, the cottage where the Arvizos resided while they were at Neverland would hardly be characterized as a dungeon. In fact, the family was staying in the most lavish guest cottage on the estate, the same one used by Liz Taylor and Marlon Brando, and the one Michael himself used after the raid of his bedroom, when he vowed he wouldn't go back into the bedroom since the sheriffs had defiled it.
Their room, a room that Marlon Brando had stayed in, a room that Elizabeth Taylor had stayed in, they defaced that, they tore it up, they wrecked the place.
Later, even after the facts and juror comments convinced me that the Arvizos were using Michael for financial gain, I still wondered about Michael's past accusers, thinking, where there's smoke, there must be fire. I wondered why Jackson would settle for a reported $20 million with Geordie Chandler in 1993 if he wasn't at least partially guilty. Here's Michael's answer to the same question posed to him by Martin Bashir.
The reason that's been given for why you didn't go to jail was because you reached a financial settlement with the family.
Yeah. I don't want to do a long, drawn-out thing on TV like OJ and all that stupid stuff.
and it wouldn't look right. I just said, look, get this over with. I want to go on with my life. It's just ridiculous. I've had enough. All that was false. Complete innocent guy. I would never do that. I would slit my wrist before I would hurt you.
Jackson was certainly guilty of bad judgment in the 1993 settlement, but on top of it, he also later got a big O.J.-style trial. Geraldine Hughes was working as a paralegal for the Chandler's attorney in 1993, and recently she came forward to say those charges were also fabricated.
The allegation of child molestation was manufactured. I was the legal secretary that worked for the attorney who represented the father of the 93 accuser, and I actually witnessed them set Michael Jackson up.
It turns out that Geordie Chandler's divorced parents were having a contentious custody battle over their son. The dad, a part-time screenwriter who had written Robin Hood, Men in Tights, had an axe to grind against Michael when he refused to fund his new $20 million film project and home remodel. Shortly thereafter, the dad reportedly concocted the molestation story and demanded $20 million to settle the case. More recently, the son filed charges against his father for physical abuse. Not only was it a poor idea for Jackson to settle with the Chandlers, it also set the stage for others to make similar claims, hoping they too might strike it rich. After paying close attention to the trial, I believe Michael was guilty, not of child molestation, but of childlike innocence and bad judgment.
Doing them. The problem is that when you have the media sensationalize a trial through sound bites and innuendo and sensationalism, which is only geared to feather their own profit, not to tell the truth, you have damage that's done and it's hard to undo it.
The media may take advantage of you if you act childlike, but is it morally wrong? Here's Michael's case for the importance of childlike innocence.
You know, like the Bible says, and a child shall be leader of them all, you know. To be led by that kind of innocence. Didn't Jesus say, bring on the children? Behave like the children, you know. Not childish, but childlike. To have that kind of innocence. I think God outdid himself when he created children.
In fact, Jackson believes that it's important for him to maintain a childlike nature, not just to enjoy life, but to get to the source of his professional inspiration.
In everything I do, everything from the performance to the songwriting, to the choreographing, to the directing, everything that I do is inspired from the children.
Celebrating Michael's victory!
While Michael Jackson is inspired by the children, his fans are inspired by him. Following the not guilty verdicts, Michael
Choreographing to the directing, everything that I do is inspired from the children.
Celebrating Michael's victory!
While Michael Jackson is inspired by the children, his fans are inspired by him. Following the not guilty verdicts, Michael Jackson fans celebrated around the world, like this fan club celebration in Las Vegas, which I was asked to document.
Oh, he's damn sexy. I wouldn't be wearing this if I didn't think he was sexy.
Michael Jackson, you're the best entertainer I've ever watched, and you inspire me, and I love you. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael.
Sweetheart, speak up.
Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine.